you. Thank you. Hello again. Tonight is a very special night indeed for my first guest. By rights, he should be dead, or at least an invalid. During the 1950s, he was billed as a blonde Elvis Presley, and his mean good looks set the girls screaming wherever he went. But a childhood illness made it impossible for him to lead a full life, and he was advised to take things easy until medical science found a way of making him well. 4 years ago, a way was found. The dramatic advances in open-heart surgery enabled part of his heart to be replaced, and this summer, a second major operation completed that work. Now he is well on the road to recovery, and he's joining us tonight to sing for the first time since he left hospital. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Billy Fury.
I want to be your lover, but your friend is all I stay. I'm only halfway to paradise, so near yet so far away. I long for your lips to kiss my lips, but just when I think they may, you leave me halfway to paradise, so near yet so far away. Being close to you is almost heaven, and seeing you can do just so much. It hurts me so to know your heart's a treasure, and that my heart is forbidden to touch. So put your sweet lips close to my lips and tell me that's where they're gonna stay. Don't leave me halfway to paradise, so near yet so far away. Whoa, 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 so near yet so far away. Yeah, 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 so near yet so far away.
That's half of it there, anyway. Mean, they call you mean, they call you moody, but basically you tell me you're shy, is that right?
Yes, when I first came down south I had a really thick Liverpool accent, and I was very shy of opening my mouth really, couldn't really be understood, and so I thought it'd be easier if I didn't say anything. So on interviews and things I hardly spoke, and people thought I was really moody.
That's like a woman called Hermione Gingold, who once said to somebody, I never spoke till I was 17. And somebody said, why not? She said, I couldn't think of anything to say. But surely you've got plenty to say now, because you've got a very hot and very dangerous and very frightening story behind your life now, haven't you?
I don't really think so. I think I have a complaint, or had a complaint, which many people have in this country. And it's a big operation I had, but a lot of people do have this operation. I believe heart disease is one of the biggest causes of death in this country.
You've got a valve inside you now?
Yes, I had a valve replaced.
Which is a huge operation.
It's a 5.5-hour job, and it's classed as a very big operation. To me, it was a very big operation.
They gave you, I gather, to anybody, what do you mean to you, to anybody? They gave you, I gather, the choice between a plastic valve and a human valve.
Yes, they did. When I first had the operation, then I had my own valve repaired, which was caused by rheumatic fever and rheumatism, by the way, as a child. I had the valve repaired while I was sort of hanging around waiting for doctors and surgeons to make more advance in what they call a homograph, which is a human valve. Because with the plastic valve, you have to take these pills all the time to regulate your blood to keep it thin, which helps the blood to go through the plastic valve more easily. But with the human valve, you don't have to take all these tablets, and taking tablets, you feel ill if you have to take them.
How do you feel, quite honestly, how do you feel at this moment? I mean, you just worked fairly hard there. Do you feel exhausted, or do you feel elated? What do you feel? How do you feel?
I feel fine, thank you.
Good. I'm glad you do. When you went when you were going into the anaesthetic for your 5.5 hours,
yes,
you told one or two close mates that you did not expect to come out of it.
No, I've always had a dread of being put to sleep ever since I was a teenager, and I had a broken hand, and I had a really dreadful nightmare whilst being under my first anaesthetic. And I really did think I was going to die. That was in 1970. And I more or less said goodbye to everybody in my mind and went under the anaesthetic. It took them a long time to put me out, actually.
You were fighting, were you?
Well, I was very, very afraid, and I had all I had the pre-med. Then I went down below to the theatre. Not the kind of theatre I'm used to.
Precisely.
And
no audience there, Billy.
No, but they had a great team, fortunately. And they gave me this other powerful injection, which is the one which is supposed to put you asleep. And I was lying there on this trolley thing, and they were all around with their caps on and their masks on. And they were looking at me, waiting for me to go asleep. And it was like trying to put an elephant to sleep. I just wouldn't close my eyes. And finally, they were all there with the mask. I said, "What is this, a stick-up?" And I don't remember anymore.
What was the first thing you remember when you came around?
When I did come around, the sister said that I gave her one of the most beautiful smiles that she'd ever known. And I think it was because I was very, very surprised to awake, and it really felt great to be alive. When you get close to these kind of things, you get very emotional. Well, I do. And when you do come out of it, you feel really great, and you feel great towards people in general more than ever before.
And you think that will be something that lasts with you now for the rest of your life? I mean, obviously something which will stick in and persist with you.
Do you mean the feeling?
The feeling of gratitude?
Unfortunately, no. A few months later, after convalescing...
You mean it's wearing thin?
It does wear thin after a while, and it's very, very unfortunate. Whether it's due to paranoia in general, I'm not really sure. But a few months after recuperating, I started work again. Whilst I was in there, by the way, I had about... about 50 stitches, and I had these agents in there trying to get me back on the road again. And I just then it began to all fall apart, you know. And I eventually got on the road. I did my first week's cabaret, and I got bounced for the money. So that really put the block on it. With the people, the whole thing began to come down. Then I was very wary of people once again.
And are you more wary of them now? Are you wary of me?
No, I'm not wary of you at all. I've heard that you're a very nice guy.
You've only heard that?
I've heard that. I'm trying to find out myself now.
You went to school in Liverpool with Ringo Starr. You were in the same school as him?
Yeah, I spent a short time in junior school with Ringo. And they were the days when we were all using Brill cream. We were only kids, and we spent all our playtime combing our hair.
And doing that with the hairs.
Oh yeah, we had to do that.
A lot of ducks, DAs.
DAs, and the Teddy Boy thing was just about to explode on the scene, and that's all I really remember of Ringo. And until I met him a few years ago on a picture called "That'll Be the Day," and of course he's changed quite a lot since.
He does. He couldn't comb his hair recently. Did you see the pictures of him recently?
Yes, I did see the bald-headed pictures of Ringo.
I think it's grown again since then.
Good.
You weren't a very good scholar. In fact, you didn't enjoy school all that much, did you?
Well, I didn't have much school, Russell, really, because I had rheumatism about 6 times between the age of 6 years of age and 14. I had rheumatic fever occasionally. And this used to strike in the limbs, usually the legs, and I found like I couldn't, you get pained, and I found I couldn't walk. And that meant a lie-up of about 6 weeks in bed, lying still, and taking some very nasty medicine, which I don't think worked, but I think that the rest was the most vital. But even then, they were, later on in my illness, they were listening to my chest, etc. And all these student doctors would come in, say about 20 or 30 of them, and would surround the bed. And then they'd have these diseased hearts in a kind of a glass dome, you know, in water.
What, around the bed?
Oh yeah, I was only a child. And they'd start speaking in all the medical lingo, which I couldn't understand. I always tried to decipher some of it, but I really got frightened because I thought that these hearts going around were similar to what mine was, you see. And they were all green and yellow. So
there must have been highly qualified psychological doctors as well. I mean, just to show you a lot of diseased hearts. Must have done you an awful lot of good.
That was really bad. I hope they don't do it now.
I can't think they do. It didn't stop you from being a tug hand, whatever that may mean. I mean, you worked on ships in the docks, did you?
Well, in between illnesses, I really did feel fit, and I ran with the other kids as much as possible, and sometimes I ran okay. And I thought at first I wanted to go to sea, and I didn't pass the medical to become a seaman. So,
not surprised.
So don't be a bugger.
I'm sorry.
So I did the next best thing to me, which was working on a tugboat on the River Mersey, which I enjoyed very much. It was a very hard job, but I enjoyed it.
All of this fantastically awful medical history which you've been slagging through did not stop you from making a huge success of your career and making one hell of a lot of money as well. I mean, you have had a highly successful pop career, haven't you?
Yes, I did. In fact, I did feel very fit up until about 65, 66. I felt wonderful.
Do you mind if we take a minute of time out to look at you in full blow, as they say?
No, go
Here's a piece of film backed by the amazing Vernon girls in one of those oh boy pop routines.
Don't knock upon the door, don't want you anymore, don't love you as before. Well, you're gonna make me so. You a cruel, I ain't you fool no more. Don't wait about for me, I don't want you, can you see? Well, I got somebody new, and she ain't me like you. You a cruel, I ain't you fool no more. Well, it's such a pity, 'cause you're so pretty. I'll keep you on a string, honey, you'll do more than anything. But don't knock upon the door, I don't want you anymore, I don't love you as before. Well, you're getting just before. You a cruel, I ain't you blue. You a cruel, I ain't you blue. You a cruel, I ain't you blue no more. Yeah.
Brilliant. We've come a long way since that was shot, haven't we? I mean, all of us.
Yeah, looking back on it, it would seem so.
I mean, we're now in a Mansfield era of shooting pop, and that's certainly not that, is it? I mean, it's one camera plonked there.
That's correct, yes.
Also, there's some joy in watching that. How do you feel when you see that kind of thing?
Like a lot of people say, it seems it's so long ago. I think that was in about 1960, which is 16 years ago. And I look very, very young, and I think I felt very young as well.
Are you honest?
I hope so.
Do you think you're better looking now than you were then? You can only say yes. You can only say yes or no.
No.
You see, I think people like Cliff and Cliff Richard and you and actually and me. We all get better when we get. older, when we get lines of experience there, don't you think we're all getting better as we get older?
Well,
Say yes,
I
but don't
think.
say.
Yes, okay.
Good,
Say
thank
yes.
you. What do you're going to start work as soon as you can now, aren't you?
In about January, Russell, I'll be starting again. This job I just had was bigger than the first one.
Yeah.
And I'm going to rest up for a longer time this time round.
Will you know yourself when you're ready, or will doctors have to tell you when you're ready?
I think they'll tell me, but I'll also know because occasionally with stretching certain ways, I still feel a little bit sore and it feels a little bit strange. It's like being cut in two and then put back together again. They both feel like different parts at the moment.
Yeah.
But when it all gets together, I won't have this strange sensation.
Where will you go to work when you go back?
I'll go back again on the cabaret circuit.
So you do have, don't you, enough money not to go back to work?
Yes, I do, fortunately.
So, in fact, it's energy and ambition and all sorts of other realizations that are pushing you into that.
Yes, I have a very lovely, a very great band. You've got a great band here, by the way.
Thank you very much.
I have a really nice band who are sort of waiting for me in a way. And I enjoy the company and the laughs, and I also enjoy doing the shows more these days than I did many years ago.
Yeah. Well, you've got a different perspective on them now, haven't you? In more ways than one.
Yes, I should hope so.
Talking about perspectives brings me most elegantly to photography, which is a part of your newish hobby, together with wildlife. You're into wildlife. I don't mean wildlife.
Yeah.
Although I do maybe mean that, but I mean birds, and I don't mean birds.
Feathered kind.
Feathered kind of birds.
Yes. Well,
and you're out and about doing a lot of work with wildlife privately.
Yes.
What do you actually do? Do you plough money into it?
Well, we have a farm down in South Wales, which is being turned into a wildlife farm. And the idea is to look after any hurt or deserted wild creatures. I did this once before when I lived in Sussex. And
where does it spring from, do you think, this interest in animals and birds?
From when I was a child, and I started off by collecting birds' eggs, and then realised that every egg I took was like taking a life. And then decided to study the birds themselves, their habits.
We've got some very good, and thank you for bringing them, some very good pictures, if we could look at them, of birds which Mr. Fury has taken. This is with your own camera?
Yes.
What is that one
This
there?
is a chaffinch, the finch family. This was taken down at the farm in Wales.
Yeah.
It's nesting in a wild rose tree there.
And feeding a baby?
And feeding a youngster in the nest.
And the next one? You took them with your own camera. How far away were you from that one?
I was about 9 feet, I think, using a zoom lens. That's a curlew.
That's a curlew, or a curlew, as you say. I say curlew, you say potato, I say tomato. Where is that? It looks familiar.
That was taken on the North Yorkshire moors. I was doing cabaret up there, and every day I went out to photograph the curlew. And
beautiful, but they're very big birds, aren't they, curlews?
Yes, they have that long bill, which is very adaptable. They're well adapted for probing around in marshy land and soft ground for worms and other insects.
Right, and there is what?
That was also on the North Yorkshire moors near Danby, and it was a black-headed gull colony.
Nesting inland, is that?
That's nesting inland. They once were a coastal bird, but they've moved more inland during the last, I think, 15 or 20 years.
Why?
Well, they find that they can get a good living inland.
That's a seabird, a good living inland. That's a seabird.
That's a seabird, all right. That's a cormorant, and that was photographed on the Farne Islands in the northeast of England.
Do you have to get yourself into any position of physical danger to photograph these things at all?
No, I don't really think so. I think the most difficult thing is building a hide to photograph.
What's that?
That's a tern, which is a kind of a slender gull, also taken on the Farne Isles.
Beautiful, that's beautiful. That,
has slim wings and forked tail, and is a summer visitor to these shores. Once common, but being wiped out by the lesser spotted public.
Have you rehearsed this at all? How many hides do you have?
Well, I have about 3 or 4 hides, but it depends in what season. Say that the winter season, I have a full-time feeding station where birds can come and feed in hard weather. And during the summer, you can photograph at the nest if you're very careful in the way you erect your hide and go about it.
Proper little St. Francis, aren't you?
I don't think so.
I mean, it is the most refreshing combination, this combination of somebody who's made a big success, somebody who's exhibited enormous bravery, going through what you've gone through, coming actually here tonight and going through that, I consider to be a very brave act, and somebody who's gentle and kind and careful to
thank
God's
you very
creatures.
much. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us, and all the best fortune and best luck that can possibly attend you.
It's my pleasure. Thank you.
Stay there.